you. You said, okay. So remind everybody that this is being recorded and it'll be forwarded to the cable folks. So you are on air, so to speak. Okay, so thank you, Laurel, for sending out the minutes. Does anybody have any questions or comments about the minutes? That's quiet, okay.
Nobody read them.
I make a
All right.
motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, we have a motion from Kathy to approve the minutes. Do I
I
have a
second it.
Second from Jan Dempsey.
And then we have to do
Okay.
roll call vote.
We need to do a roll call, okay. I can't tell, okay, Mary Lou,
Yes.
okay. Let's see, who else is there? I can't.
Bob Downey is here.
I approve.
Bob?
Hi, Bob.
Kathy
approve.
Fournier, Yeah.
Aye.
okay. I think I saw Nancy Hurley.
Yes.
She's here.
Okay, you vote yes, okay. Jan Dempsey,
Yes,
uh,
That was everyone there.
let's see.
Bob Downey.
Up, down, in time, yeah,
Yes, I thought I already did.
yeah, he already said
Yeah.
yes.
That's
I'm
all
sorry,
that's up
Bob.
there.
Okay, Jay,
Yes.
Laurel,
Yes,
and I say yes, okay. Are we missing anybody? I can't tell.
Lindsay,
Oh,
Lindsay.
oh, Lindsay, okay. Okay, thank you all. All right, so we're gonna go directly to our guests, so we don't have to hold them longer than you need to. So Mary Lou, why don't you introduce and we'll start from there.
Well, Brian Jamrose is, just came on since we started the meeting. And Kathleen, Kathleen, I'm not sure about your last name, but it's small. I can't read it.
Glowacki.
Yeah, Glowacki. All right. So I'm sure they have something to do jointly there. So, okay.
Okay, so we'll just hand it over to you folks.
Excellent. And Mary Lou, I need glasses now so I can relate how small everything looks. If I don't have them on, I can't read your name, so that's pretty bad, but that's okay. Well, thank
Yeah.
you folks for inviting us to tonight's meeting. We're going to go over an overview of our performance through September 30th. We always like to bring the last full month on record. Just to remind those, if anybody's new, I'm Brian Jamrose. I'm from the outside calling team. I'm an investment advisor on the road, working with the municipalities across the state, including libraries. Kathleen Glowacki is behind the scenes working internally. She's the director of the investment management team and the internal investment management team, which basically makes sure that your portfolio is getting put to work as maturities come due, watching the markets on a day-to-day basis, analyzing the funds that we have, and making sure that we have the best in class, if you will. So I brought Kathleen on board. I think some of you have met her in the past as well. So we're going to get right into it. She'll probably give a little bit of an economic update, and then we'll go right into the performance. But before we do that, one of the main reasons why you're seeing the performance drop is because of fast rising interest rates, right? For those that don't know, what you're dealing with at least 80% of your portfolio is going to be interest rate risk. On these legal lists of investments, we buy individual securities. So when the rates go up sharply like they have this year, your portfolio sees an unrealized loss for a short period of time until or at least in the fixed income section, until the maturities, until the fixed income comes to maturity. And then it goes back up to par, which is what you purchased it for, plus you get your interest rate at 2%. Or let me rephrase that. Let's say your interest rate was 2% on a fixed income and the rates went up to 5%. What would happen is your 2%, if it was a CD, for example, would have an unrealized loss of a percentage. Because if you had to sell your CD prior to maturity, if everybody else can go get 4 or 5% and your CD is only paying 2%, you would have to sell yours at a discount. So a lot of what's going on right now is in the fixed income world or the bond portfolio. A lot of people don't talk about that. When you're reading the news in the Wall Street and the television, they're really talking about a lot of stock. They don't really talk a lot about the equity markets. I mean, excuse me, talking a lot about the equity markets, but they're not talking a lot about the bonds. Sometimes they do, but that's not.
Brian, this is Bob Downey.
Yes,
I'm not too sure of technical terms, but when you value our bond holdings,
yes.
it's the market value, not the
So
par value.
correct. Well, we do
Okay.
both. We actually do both. Is it Bob? I'm sorry, Bob.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Bob, we actually do both on our accounting report. But it's, when you're looking at your statement, it's to market value.
Okay, that's a more accurate perception of what's going on. Okay.
Okay, so did that answer your question? Okay.
Yes, it does.
But Bob, on the accounting report that we provide separate from the brokerage statement or the custodial statement, actually gives you both market value and book value. Because many municipalities still only do book value for 11 out of the 12 months, and then they bring it to market value once a month. But that's, I'm sorry, once out of the year, excuse me. So let's, if you don't have any other questions, Bob, I'll dig right into it.
Okay, good.
Okay. Making sure. I like the thumbs up, right? A lot of people forget to unmute, so I just, forgive me. Two years of this, I guess, right? Okay, so let's dig right into it. I'm going to turn it over to Kathleen. She's going to go over the performance review. If you don't know, she's the brains, I'm the mouth, but we're going to let the brains speak tonight. So got to make this fun, somewhat fun, right?
Yeah, it's not true, but sure. So, Brian, are you going to share your screen or? Okay.
Yes, let me share the screen. Host, who's the host tonight?
Oh, me, I will make you co-host. Give me one sec.
Thank you.
Oh, yes.
You muted him.
Those buttons are small. It's hard to see.
There you go.
Thank you. Let's try that. Okay. Here we go. Okay, can everybody see that with the thumbs up? It says portfolio review September 30th.
Oh,
No.
No,
Oh, hold on. See, it's always good to double check. Now
Yeah.
can you see it?
there you go.
yes,
Oh.
yeah,
Yeah.
now we can, yeah.
Okay, excellent. Kathleen, take over.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for having us. So everything we'll show is as of the end. We like to do as recent as we can. So this is as of the end of September. So the portfolio, as you can see, about 118, just over 118,000 at this point. And on this next page here, so just as a reminder, these funds are managed under the Massachusetts legal list of investments. And so we have a very restrictive list of where, very conservative, a lot of, as Brian said, it's mainly in bonds, corporate bonds, agencies, CDs, and treasuries. And then we have a very short list of about 20 stocks. So your target right now, I think that we talked about this in the last meeting, your target for the equity portion is 20%. So you can see as of September 30th, it's at about 15%. I checked today, it's a little closer to 19. You had a bond mature, and so we, just to get to target, we actually bought some equity, which could be a good time. Just, I mean, who knows? I can't predict the future, but with where the market is right now, we're hopeful that it's a good time to kind of start dollar cost averaging or slowly kind of get into the equity market. So we did add a little bit of equity exposure since then. So here you can see on the left, as Brian's highlighting, really just your allocation, again, as of September 30th. On the right, we show the end of the fiscal year. So that's 6/30. So not, too much of a time change there, but you can see the majority of what we hold are corporate bonds, government agencies, bond funds, which I'll talk about, that portion in common stock, CDs, and then just a little bit in cash. And so really the big picture, biggest point, I think, that I'll probably keep repeating myself is on how the interest rates have changed. And so here you can see the current yield on the portfolio as of 9/30 is 2.13. And even if you look just a couple months Sorry, Brian. If you look a couple months back at 6:30 on that right-hand side of this page, you can see the current yield was 170. And so while that might seem like I'm kind of splitting hairs, it's a very big change in the market. And so we've seen interest rates rise very quickly, compared to our recent history. And because the Federal Reserve is trying to reduce inflation, that's really their biggest goal. We get a new inflation print tomorrow. So hopefully it will look a little bit better than it has, as we all know. But so what we've been able to reinvest in has been at much higher interest rates, which is exciting for these types of portfolios. You'll be able to get a very good, better rates as we kind of move forward. So you'll see here kind of each basket and what the interest rates are in the portfolio at this point, as Brian is expertly highlighting there. And then on the next page, this is your performance. So on this left-hand side, so we have current yield, that's just the income. And then we have, to Bob's point as well, the market value changes. So that's what this page kind of encapsulates. And so on the left-hand side, you have since 2017, everything that's been contributed, withdrawn, realized, unrealized, gains and losses, interest, dividends, bringing you to that ending balance. And then an annualized return of just about 40 basis points over the life, short time frame, 2017, but that's kind of been the life of this fund at this point. And so if you look at the right-hand side, this is just the fiscal year activity. So just a few months, but you will see the annual return down about 2.25%. And that's a pretty, for these types of portfolios, for how conservative they are and how restrictive they are, this is for us, a pretty large decline. It's not something we like to see, but it's just a product of what's going on in the market. Usually when the stock market is doing so poorly, you have the bond market that's kind of acts as the ballast that can help kind of prop up your performance. Well, in this case, everything has been negative, and I'll show that in a couple of slides. So it's just been very challenging. That's just the world that we live in, but this is for the long term. These are trust funds. So I think I saw someone wave.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
This tracks back to the day we started the portfolio. You have
Yes.
here
Yes,
2017. So
it
that's
does.
okay.
Yes. Yeah. And so the bottom chart, I think, is what's for me most helpful, especially in the long term. And this shows that gold line, or the bottom line, shows what you've put into the portfolio or taken out. And then that blue line is the market value.
So
So you can-
Kathleen,
Yeah.
on this chart though, it's somewhat skewed. There was a withdrawal at just over, so this is hard to see on the graph potentially, because there was a withdrawal on, well, I don't have the exact data point there, but I believe that brown line runs at 116 across the board, and it's blurred in with, the brown line is blurred in with the black line. So it's misconstrued there. So I just wanted to point that out to everybody so they understand that.
Mhm.
The dip slightly after that, I'm actually pointing at my screen like you can see it. Forgive me. Oh my goodness, it's been a long day. So see right here, can you guys all see my mouse?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. I'm using a pen before. That tells you where I'm going. Okay. There was a withdrawal right here. So there was a withdrawal of drawing funds down. I forgot what you guys paid for, but there was something there that was drawn upon, and then it brought the balance down below, like at 116, say. But see, this looks like it just falls off here, and you can't really see it, but there's a brown line that runs right across here. Okay.
Yes.
I just want to point that out so everybody knows that, because when I first looked at this chart, I'm like, what is going on? This is like, is this broken? No, there was a withdrawal right here, and the brown line runs right along. I don't know if you can see that on your handouts, but that is what's going on. So the valuation, I just want you to bear in mind, this is still the market value right here, and the brown line runs right there. The other thing, and Kathleen, I don't know if I'm throwing you off, but sometimes I like to go right to yield to maturity just right after this page, if we could. Is that okay with you?
Yep, sure.
So, and I'll let you explain that, but yield to maturity, I want to, you're looking at these numbers probably thinking, oh my goodness, what have we done since inception? 40 basis points, I could have done better in a money market account. What I want to point out to you folks is what's dragging the performance down is the unrealized loss to you. To get a better sense of what your return is with the bond portion, with that unrealized, I think can show you at yield to maturity. Yield to maturity, and Kathleen, you can take over from here at 4.22. Go ahead, Kathleen. I didn't mean to throw you off. But.
Yeah, no, that's okay. So yield to maturity really is just your way of looking at when all of these bonds go through their whole life, essentially. And really their life is actually two more columns down there, that duration. So this whole portfolio will kind of live for 2 years and then we'll reinvest it obviously at different intervals. But what this is showing, yield to maturity, for example, without getting too technical, we could purchase a bond at a discount, meaning we're purchasing a bond worth $100 at night and we're buying it for $98. And so the market value doesn't necessarily encapsulate the fact that we will have a gain. When you get your par at 100 and you paid 98, you have a gain of those $2. And so that's kind of one part of yield to maturity, and it's assuming reinvestments. It's a lot of just kind of more of a really looking at the technical part of the bonds, and that's kind of what your overall yield is, because the market value can of course changes every day, and it's all over the place, especially now. So that's a good segue and a little bit of a better picture. And it's a little technical, but it's important, especially for us, trying not to get too worried about the market value, because really if we don't sell the bonds right now, then you're not realizing these losses. So it's just a market fluctuation for now.
Okay.
All right, and so just quickly through these couple of pages, this is mainly just to show that we are following the legal list. So in the center there, you have your credit quality. Everything is on the legal list and it's above investment grade. The only one that might stick out is that NR. That means non-rated, and it matches up exactly to your CDs. The S&P just doesn't rate CDs, but I like to point out that it doesn't mean that they're, junk bonds or anything like that. And then you did that page, that's that. Okay. So here is your kind of your portfolio against some benchmarks, and then a few more on the next page. And so for the legal list, as I said, it's a very restrictive list. And so we kind of don't have a lot to compare it to, but we like to sort of give you some idea of what the market is doing at this point. And so here, I like this page, I like to think about things in the terms of calendar years. So you can see, since inception, since 2017, and each year since, your portfolio against some benchmarks. So if we're looking just at 2022, you're down about 6%, which is, again, very dramatic from what we normally see in these portfolios. And then you'll see what Brian's highlighting here. This benchmark is if you just held bonds between a 1 and 5 year time frame. So this is something I almost wish this page went back many, many more years, because we've never seen in a very long time such negative performance of the bond market. Certainly not since the inception of this portfolio, but if you owned just bonds in that time frame, you'd be down about 7.3%. And then the other point, of course, I know we're harping so much on bonds, but it's just because it's something that's talked about less, really. You do have that sleeve of equities, as I said. We've kind of ratcheted that up over time to a target of about 20% of the total portfolio. And so we use the Dow Jones, which is not really what we can invest in on the legal list, but it's close. It's high dividend paying companies you've heard of, Bank of America, Kimberly-Clark, companies like that, McDonald's. So those types of companies for the year have been down about 20%. So kind of to that point, if there's really been nowhere to hide, but that's kind of the area and the realm that we can play in. Just to kind of give some context. And I know it's all been, I hate to be the negative Nancy. I don't want to end it on that note, because really for us on the investment side, we're really excited because it means we can purchase bonds with much higher interest rates. Our money market, for example, just cash was paying nothing for years. And so now if you have some cash and if just put it in our money market fund, you're making around 2%, which is for taking on no risk is quite exciting in its own. Maybe it's only exciting to me because this is what I think all day. But it's a good thing for your portfolio. So don't, I guess the point is really to not let that market value scare you. The equity market, of course, is always volatile. It always will be, but it does add growth over time. So we always like to have a portion of it. But those bonds, things will level out eventually. And what Brian, I know he wants to show this and I just keep blabbing, but this is as of 9:30, if we were to invest your portfolio today, these are kind of the interest rates you would be getting. So, over 4% kind of across the board, no matter how much equity you're taking on. So it's great because it means as the bonds you hold mature, which they will fairly quickly, we've kept our duration very short, meaning we haven't gone out and purchased bonds that are maturing in 10 years. We don't want to do that. We knew rates were going to rise, so we didn't want to lock in something at a much lower interest rate. And so we'll have things mature, and now we can buy treasuries, which are the most safe investments in the world, around 4%. So, all this negative performance, the future is bright when it comes to these things. So just maybe leave it at that. And then the final piece on the other page, these are just all of your holdings. So you can see all the way to the left when we purchased them, the companies that they are. These are the only equities we can buy according to the law. There are only two that you won't see here. We don't purchase. It's GE, General Electric. They cut their dividend to 0, and they obviously did a lot of restructuring. So we don't invest in GE. And then the other one is Wells Fargo. We sold when they opened a bunch of fake accounts. So didn't think that was something that anyone wanted to be invested in. So other than that,
No.
we own them all. So again, you can see the symbol, you can see the total value, and then what you've paid for them, principal. So for example, in this bucket, you paid about, I think that says 14,000 on a small screen, and now they're worth about 17. And then you can see the current yield all the way to the right for each basket. And then we have some bond funds. This is your treasury exposure. We really, just because of the size of this portfolio, we sometimes find it easier to buy pooled investments. So we don't, for around $1,000 to $10,000, this is just a better way to get some better diversification than buying, an individual bond. So you have that portion there. And then finally, on the next couple of pages, your corporate bonds, government agencies, very few CDs, kind of at the bottom of this page. There's still the rates for those for what we can buy are really far too low right now. And then you'll see the money market, not to be too excited about a money market, but it's, they're paying around 1.5% to 2% at this point, which is, we don't like to keep cash, but for what cash you have, it's at least something. So, kind of blew through that fast, but to respect your time, but I'll answer any questions or anything else.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions?
Oh, that was good.
I have a question. We get a summary report Mary Lou gets it at our meeting. And it shows, there's no title on it that I have, but it shows our fund names, beginning market value, principal, et cetera, et cetera. And what I'm curious about is if we take a withdrawal, where does that show up on this particular report? Because the only thing I see is a transfer of principal, transfer of earnings. I don't know if that's where it goes.
It would go there. Yes, that's a good
Okay.
question. Let me pull one up so you can all see. Of course, it's in slow mode. Hold on, because let me just stop. Something happens when it's on Zoom. So it would happen. I can't, for some reason, it's not pulling up because I'm on Zoom. But it would pull up, Bob, under transfer
Okay,
principal or transfer of earnings, and it would show as a negative if it's a withdrawal and a positive if it's a deposit.
okay.
I think that was on the first page of what you showed us, wasn't it?
No, it's actually going to be, he's referring to here. Let me pull it up. Bob, I believe, is referring to this report, and I'm able to pull it up now. Here we go. And correct me if I'm wrong, Bob. Let me just share this again. I am able to pull it up. Share screen. Going to here, and remember to press share this time. Okay. We've
That's the
all been
report.
there.
That's it.
Okay. So Bob was asking on this report, which is a breakdown of all of the money that's within the account with all the various funds. Okay. And if you did a withdrawal, the question was, if we did a withdrawal, where would it show up on this report? It would show up either on transfer of principal or transfer of earnings, depending what you're taking it out of from an accounting method. Most likely it would be transfer of earnings, and it would show up as a minus 100, for example, or minus 1,000, whatever you're taking out. Okay.
Great.
Good. Any other questions? Okay.
Excellent. Well, that's like when you don't get any questions from the minutes, that's usually a good sign, hopefully.
Yeah.
By the
Yeah.
way, everybody is just thankful that they're not doing the minutes. I just got appointed or voluntold on my board that I have to do the minutes for the next year. So my hat is off to you. So thank you.
Hey, Laurel.
Have it. If you guys don't have anything else, feel free to call us anytime. We appreciate your business. We're a phone call away. Please just feel free to call us and talk to us whenever you need. But if there's no other questions or you don't need anything else, we'll let you go.
Okay.
Okay.
Let it ride, right?
Great.
Just let it
Thank you,
ride.
Brian.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Brian.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
It was very entertaining.
Good.
We got to try to make it fun, right?
Thank
Have
you.
a great
Bye.
night.
Thank you, you as well.
Okay.
Okay, good. Mary Lou, do you have anything to add?
No, I mean, what could I add to that? I mean, everybody should have gotten the monthly report and the
Yeah.
one that Brian just showed. I've sent them both, yeah. So.
Thank you for bringing that up
Okay.
to
If
the
you want,
library.
if you
Thank
haven't
you.
got it yet, if you come by, I think Darcy has some more copies.
I do, yes.
So it's available at the
Yeah,
library.
paper
Yeah.
copies.
Yeah.
Paper copies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, next up is Director's Report.
Okay. Put this here. All right, so let's start with the statistics. They're pretty on par with what they usually are. So are there any questions with the CIRC statistics? Okay.
Keeping up.
And the programming, the biggest thing that stands out, of course, is the children's programming, youth services programming. Well, the numbers tripled last month.
Fantastic.
No, Bergen's doing great. She is already getting great numbers for October. And of course, I know some months might be lighter, whatever, but she has been doing awesome. And we are very lucky to have her.
And her programs are so fascinating.
Yeah,
I mean, today she did a whole thing on honeybees.
yes.
I didn't, should have, but it was, yeah.
There was one about like pumpkin science.
Pumpkin science.
Yeah.
She's done lots of different things.
Yeah.
Yeah, brought a lot into to the library. So,
Exactly. So any questions about those? Museum passes,
Pretty much
the
what you'd
same as.
expect was there at school, back to school.
Yeah,
so-
September is a hard month for anything really, because back to school, they need to,
Get into the,
they need to get into their routines. We saw kind of an uptick in August, but I think that was to be expected as well. So we will keep on advertising and hopefully people will be using our passes. Questions about museum passes? Okay, so I'll read the warrant. 2311 was $89.49. 2313 was $3,416.72, and that total is $3,506.21. Questions about that? Okay, so state aid, both of the reports are in. Hopefully, I mean, I know there's a chance we would get renewed in January, but hopefully next month, we'll hear back and hope for good things. Hopefully a good state aid amount and get that account replenished. Not that it's, I mean, it's almost $9,000 in it right now. Yeah, you know what I mean,
right, for the future.
for the future. It's always a nice thing to be certified. Yes. Personnel, Sean started as the assistant. I think he's doing great. We offered,
He's thrilled.
I know,
He really is.
I know. The page position was offered to a high school student who has volunteered here
Oh,
and still volunteers here actually.
Hmm.
So, and he already knows
Wonderful.
that's half the job. And also do random odd jobs that a page might do and,
So, is he a yes on that? You offered it, did he say yes?
I'm not sure yet,
Okay.
but my guess is yes, that
Okay.
he will. Because, he did say it was always his goal to work here, and I
Okay.
think that's amazing, just being the director. So any questions about the personnel or state aid?
Sean, how many hours a week?
Sean at 18 and a half. So yeah, the library assistants all work 18 and a half hours.
Right. What position did they approve last night at their meeting for the library?
It would have been Sean. Yeah, it just
But they
got
talked about
delayed 2 weeks.
Did they make a I mean, what is this hourly? 16 something an hour?
16, 18, I believe.
They talked about, unless I heard it wrong or watched it wrong, but they talked about a full-time position at the library that they approved last night.
Yeah, I think that might have been
I'll rewatch it back,
an error.
but
I'm
yeah,
sorry, Jan, I didn't hear you.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I heard the same thing. I think they might have
Okay.
just made an error, but it was Sean's position. I
That's what I
remember
thought.
the amount was 16, but
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think they said something about a 36 or something. Hour position.
Yes,
I'll
yeah,
rewatch
that's
it
what they
back.
approved.
yeah,
Oh, well, they approved it.
They did approve it.
I don't think he could do, but he's a full-time student.
Yeah.
Because I'm sitting there thinking, this is an assistant, and he says full-time. That's
Yeah, it was
someplace
probably
has to
just
be
an
corrected
error.
or looked at.
Yeah, well, I'll get that taken care of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get that taken care of. Thank you, Kathy, for pointing that out. Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
Jan. Because I actually didn't get a chance to see it, because usually everything just has gone through recently and
Yeah,
all right, I will definitely figure that out.
thank you.
So the last thing I have on my report here is the US News Stream renewal. It got approved last year in December, so this is a little early, but they wanted kind of an estimate of who's going to, and by they, I mean MVLC, but they wanted an estimate of who's going to be renewing. So what I will say is I think the service is fantastic. It's just, it was brand new. It's been brand new for 10 months and it hasn't gotten, I don't think I have advertised it as well as I should have, but I plan to from now on, especially push it to the schools because you can read full text articles from many papers. Even my hometown paper in New York, the Poughkeepsie Journal, found that on there, but also the Boston Globe, the Boston Herald, New York Times. So I'm hoping that we can give it another chance and maybe get those numbers up if the board is agreeable.
So how much money are you talking about? 1,900 and
That's what it cost last year. They're not completely sure yet, but it's going to be around that amount. So
say we make a proposal or a motion to approve up to what, 2,100?
that could work. I think that would be more than enough.
You haven't gotten the bill yet, though,
No.
correct?
No, I
So
haven't.
should we wait until to vote to get,
No, because they need the
they
need the count
Yeah.
before
Yeah.
they actually send us what the amount's going to be,
They need to know who's gonna be
which
signing up.
I'm not a fan of, but it's how they're doing it.
Okay,
Does someone
they-
get access through the computers at the library? That's how
Yeah,
that
but you can
works?
also use at home. There's a link on the front page of our website. And depending on how your IP operates, you can either just click on it and go to it, or you sign in with your library card. And you can access all of these full text articles.
And you and the staff feel that it's a very worthwhile.
Yes, especially because I think education is moving more digital too. And we want to make sure that, kids can access these articles. For example, in high school, I had to access articles about international issues, and obviously it was the early mid 2000s, so it was a little different, but now these kids are accessing things more digitally. And I'm going to make sure that the schools know that it's available.
Excellent. I make a motion to approve up to $2,100 from state aid to pay for, and would you give the whole title of it, Darcy, please?
US News Stream.
US News Stream.
Do I have a second on Kathy's motion?
I'll make second.
Second from Laurel. Any other discussion or questions? No. Okay, so we'll.
Darcy, did you want to take it from state aid or did you have something else in mind?
I think that's the best account for it, to be honest.
Okay.
Not enough in donations, and I don't think it would even count necessarily as materials, but I'm not sure because it's just Roland. So,
Also, no one, it's not.
It should count for materials, shouldn't it?
well, for something to count as materials, it has to be accessible for all patrons in Massachusetts.
Really?
Yeah. Yes,
I
I learned
I-
that one year.
Did they changed it then?
Must
'Cause we
have,
used to be
because
able to do a lot of digital, I remember. But they must
Yeah,
have changed it
Liz
because we used to
Babbitt.
use a lot of stuff. Wow.
yeah, Liz
Wow, that's
Babbitt said that
scary.
in one of the Eris trainings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Not me for a little bit.
Now we do.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay, that's good to know.
I still think it's
Now we
important,
know.
of course.
Okay,
Wow.
any other questions?
Well, we need to,
Okay,
which meant
Yeah.
something.
all right. Jan, anything else? Did your question get answered, Jan?
Yeah, I'm just still in shock.
Flabbergasted, I know.
Okay, so we'll take a vote. Mary Lou,
Yes.
okay, Nancy? Yes? Okay.
Yes, sorry.
Kathy Prunier,
Yes.
Jan,
Yes,
Bob,
Yes,
Laurel,
Yes,
Jay,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Thank
Okay.
you, everybody. Hopefully next year we'll have better numbers, but also it was 10 months and brand new. So
Okay.
thank you. Okay.
Okay, anything else?
Well, that's what I had on this. I know under in the agenda, there was something about the carpeting update. Is that,
Yes,
or it was the capital improvements.
yes,
So I sent everybody an email that Rebecca actually wrote outlining the plan to put the carpeting project under capital improvements. And the reason why is that they are actually putting through HVAC and air conditioning upgrades first. So here too. Actually, they already did over there, but we're on the plan for next year. So I think it's prudent to get those taken care of first, especially considering the tentative moisture issue in the carpet in the main library. So once that's taken care of, we can hopefully right after do the carpeting project, because the timing will work. So that's pretty much what Rebecca was trying to say in so many words.
okay. Has she given us a timeline at all?
Not necessarily. I would guess sometime next fiscal year,
Okay,
because we're working on the capital request for next fiscal year
okay.
as of now.
you have a rough idea how much cost we're talking about?
So the estimate was about $33,000.
That HVAC and carpet or just one or the other?
That's just carpet.
Okay,
HVAC isn't gonna, I don't think it would cost us anything anyway, because
Okay.
they're,
it's all one kind of thing, okay.
yeah.
Right,
so, if it's put on the capital improvement and we're talking next fiscal year.
Yeah.
The quotes that you received probably.
It won't be exact, but we
Yeah.
have to have a number to work with
And
to
then-
put it on the capital request.
Right,
So that's why we
Okay.
have the number now. And it might not be exact, but
but would
We
they have
need
to
to
put
work
it out to
with-
bid?
they will have,
They
yeah.
would do, it wouldn't be anything.
I mean, of course, we would choose the flooring and make sure
Right,
it's all what we wanted originally anyway, or anything that we feel is better than what we originally chose, but yes, it will go out to bid. And I will I'll actively work on that. That would be, I think, my main thing.
So this would be voted on, all our capital requests would be voted on at town meeting in May?
I believe so.
Yeah. Good.
I believe so. I'll keep following up on that, but that's the plan as of right now, because if we submitted this request to the Board of Selectmen right now to do the COVID money, it would probably get denied because of the HVAC replacement coming up.
Mhm.
So this is the smartest thing we can do.
okay.
So Rebecca's going to put it on the capital plan. That's where we're
Yes,
at.
but I'm actively with her advocating for what we want. So
Mhm.
no one is taking over anything. She's doing great. She's very good
Great.
with me, and it's been much appreciated, because some of these things, obviously, I'm not as used to as a town administrator would be.
Mhm.
And she's the procurement officer as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we have a good working relationship. I think
Let's
it's
keep
going
it that way.
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. We're working well together, especially on this and other things, like especially hiring, not to go back to Bergen. The whole thing's about Bergen.
Okay.
Tell her
Any other
we
que-
appreciate her recommendation and we accept.
Okay.
Any other questions about that?
Well, I'm just wondering, I know the capital improvement plan has this is to be done in 5 years, this is to be done in 10 years. I mean, will we definitely be put on for the,
I'm not
Following year.
100% certain, but I'm gonna keep following up.
because I know, when we put on the van, it's like, for the council of aging, it's like, yes, in 5 years, you'll have.
Yeah.
So. I
But
mean,
this
it's
is
kind of-
more of a health issue,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
we can,
It is a health issue.
lean into that
It is,
very,
definitely.
because it's, we work directly with the public and
Mhm.
many people come in here every day, breathing the air that,
And multi-thousands of dollars were spent from taxpayers' money to bring in the right air cleaners and all kinds of things for health. So to keep dirty carpeting down would be not a good plan.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. We want to take care of our people. That's why that's
That's
the
right.
reason we're here.
Okay, anything else about the capital improvement things? Okay. Darcy, anything else?
That's what I've got. I sent the requested write-up for the evaluation that you're going to do.
Okay, you sent it or you did it?
Well, I sent it
She
to
did.
everybody.
Oh, okay,
No, she
Yes.
sent her.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
she-
I
Yes.
misunderstood what you said.
Yes.
Okay.
It's this.
Yeah.
Everybody should have it in their email.
Okay,
And
Good.
what is the deadline of having this in for Bob to collect and collate?
For us to do ours.
oh, well,
The next meeting?
we wanted to talk about it in December, so I would think that it would be good to have it for him before our next meeting in November.
Okay.
Does that sound okay to you, Bob?
Let me ask a couple questions. The evaluation form asks everyone to rate 1 to 5. Okay, and there's also don't know an Xbox.
Yep.
So mechanically, my process is I will exclude that from the calculation of averages.
That makes sense.
Okay,
That's logical.
so for example, on one category, there's 4 boxes and 1 to 5. So I'll add up everything, and if 6 people respond, I'll divide by 6 to come up with the average,
Okay,
right?
Excellent.
Anyone excludes it? Okay, mechanics. And then from a personal perspective, I would like for people to give the comment section some focus, because
Okay.
we're just checking things off. I'm not going to police it, whatever you send me.
okay, good.
How are we
Thank you.
going to get this? How are we going to get this to you, Bob?
Could you
Is it going to be?
email it would be fine. Mhm.
Email it. Hello.
Mhm.
We can't work
Okay.
it on email though.
Well, I'm going to do a spreadsheet.
No, I know.
Oh, wait
but-
a minute. Oh, wait, this form isn't,
Yeah.
And hard
uh,
copies.
How about if people just bring in their copy to the library? We'll have them all collected at the library.
And the sealed envelope, and then he can pick them up there?
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, that's okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. we'll put
sealed
your
envelope.
name on
I was gonna say, don't worry.
Well, you're tempting.
Yes, but. I'm
Bob, do you
gonna
want
the
it, do you
right
want us to
thing.
just mail them to you?
We could
We
do
could
that.
snail
We could do
mail
that
them to you
too.
too, Bob.
Well,
What would be easier for you?
Bob, what should be easier for you? That's a good question, Jan.
I would prefer one or the other, let's put it that way. So either they go to the library or they get mailed.
Okay, so if you
The
have.
library.
What's your address? Oh, your address is on the
Okay, so
information page.
So you lean towards the library, Bob?
Yeah, yes, I do.
Okay, so how about we'll
Okay.
do that? That gives everybody a month to get it. I'm
That's
sure
fine.
all of you will
Okay,
come
yeah.
here sometime in the next month.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah. Okay, all right.
thank you, Bob, for doing that.
Yes,
No,
thank
no
you very
problem.
much. Okay. Any other questions about the evaluation process?
Or anything you need from me.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Anything from
Okay.
Darcy that she hasn't provided you?
You do not have to fill out that form.
Then,
It could, yeah.
good.
Okay. All right, anything else, Darcy?
That's what I have.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
But
Uh,
I do have, Darcy, you've seen the form, right? That we're
Uh,
filling
yes, I mean,
out? Okay,
I-
that's,
one of the board members, and I kind of, I didn't see it in detail, but
You have
I
a
could-
perfect right to.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
that would
I
be
can
something
email
you
it.
could
I, didn't
review.
I?
yeah, of course I'll review it. I just haven't.
beforehand, and kind of
Examined
say
it.
what you
When
think.
when I emailed it to everybody last month, I didn't email a copy to you, Darcy?
No.
But I
I
asked
will-
you to print it out for me, so
Yes.
this,
Yeah,
When
I
I-
printed it out for Kathy.
Okay, well, I will email you a copy as soon as this meeting is over, because I have it on my computer, on my iPad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you know what? I could probably send it right now to you.
Oh,
Oh,
all right.
I
all
might
right.
have 3 then.
Yeah, well, I won't, if Laurel sends it, I'm not sending it, but, tell me if you can't find it, Laurel.
I have it.
Got
She's
it?
gonna have
Okay.
it right now.
Yeah,
Here it goes.
Well, thank you.
yeah.
Whoosh.
Okay, anything else? Any other concerns, questions? Okay, thank you. All right, next up, progress report on bylaws. Kathy, you want to address that?
well, we sent them out, and has everybody looked at them, and anybody see anything that they want to change or think that should be amended in any way?
I did have some, it seems like ages ago, but I did ask, I did have some things on here, nothing major. I have a question. Is there any way, it says the board is made up of 9 elected members. I mean, is there any way we could have a discussion and talk about maybe making this board a little smaller? Do we really need 9 members?
Have to
I
do it
think-
by threes.
yeah.
So if you go
the-
down by 3, then you have an even number of
Yeah. but-
members, and that doesn't bode well
You'd have to
for a
go to
vote.
6 or
Yeah,
3.
Yeah.
Why do we have to do it by 3s? Just a question. I don't understand why.
The state.
The state makes
mandates
those
that.
determinations.
Oh. Okay. I just wondered, I mean, that was one question I had. And there was something else, wasn't a question, oh, on the second page, when it talks about the officers shall be elected, with the exception of the treasurer who is bonded. So that means the treasurer can stay, it doesn't, as long, I mean, there's no limit because of the bonding?
Well, we talked
That's-
about it at the meeting that we had, and
Yeah,
we all agreed that it's a long process of learning,
yeah.
as you well know, Mary Lou.
Yeah, it
And
is.
bonding is very expensive,
Yeah.
and that if you have someone in that position and they're willing to take the responsibility and they're doing a good job, it would be a shame to turn it over in 12 months, because it takes about 12 months to learn the position.
Even longer for some things.
I know, even longer. It can. There's a lot to it, and there's a
Some
lot
things
of
don't
history to it.
Some things, all of a sudden, if something comes up, it's,
Right.
and it's like you're learning, because you've never done it before. Yeah.
There's a lot of
and
history
so
to
then-
it, and that's why we put that in.
All right. So then we have, red means it's coming out, right?
No, red means it's.
It's
new.
it's adding. Okay.
Yellow is
says-
coming out.
It says officers shall not preside for more than 2 successive terms. Okay, so a term is designated as 1 fiscal year.
Oh,
I get
3
that.
years.
What?
3 years. Your term is 3 years.
No, that's
You're-
not what it
No.
says.
That's not what it says,
That's
though.
not what it
says
says.
Officer
It
is
says a
different
term
than
is
a board
designated
member.
as 1 fiscal year.
1 year is.
And I
officer.
have 3
Oh.
written next to it because that was, I guess, what I picked up when I read that.
Okay, so maybe I misunderstood what it meant.
Yeah.
Um,
Just, I mean, it's just, I really read it closely, so I did pick up on just a few things.
And the confusion is that we waived that during COVID because things were so up in the air and so difficult.
Do we have to do that? I mean,
We have to do what?
are other boards in town, do they limit?
I don't know
the
about
t-
other boards, but I know that in the Mass Board of Library Commissioners, that's a recommendation and a strong one, and that's why we followed that.
What, for a maximum of 2 fiscal years?
No, what was it that we followed? Laurel, do you have it right in front of you?
With this, I don't, I can get the mass. I have our bylaws in front of us.
Quite
Right.
frankly, I thought it was 1 year.
It was
which
one
is-
year.
Which is
yeah.
what we had a problem with.
Oh, yeah, it says right
Right.
here, term is designated as 1 fiscal year. I'm sorry, yes. Yeah, I thought, it says right there, right in front of me. Okay, let me get the mass board somewhere.
They give the reasoning too behind making a strong board. And the basis behind it is everybody should take a position as time goes on. If you stay on the board, you're not just there to warm a seat. You have to take one of the executive positions to make it a strong board. Bring new ideas.
Okay, let's see, selection.
So my
appointment.
question is, I just would like to see if this is something that the whole town has adopted on their boards.
No, I don't think it's a
You
town-wide
know-
thing. And an elected board doesn't have to follow town.
No, I'm just
Um,
saying for consistency in government, like do the selectmen, for example, do they, I know they elect their officers, their chair and vice chair every year, but do they
Right.
have a limit? I'm just curious because before we go to town meeting to change something,
I don't think this is a change.
well,
I
we're
don't
gonna
it
have to
right-
take all these changes before town meeting is my point.
Right, the changes from the
So-
last
So any
bylaws, right.
change, so I just want to be absolutely sure that these are the changes we want, because it isn't something we want to do frequently.
Right, I don't know
Mhm.
that this is a change from the last bylaws. Was it a change, Laurel?
It is a change.
Um,
Oh, is
Because
it?
no, the only change that we have made, our bylaws, the only change we've made is with the exception of the office of the treasurer, which is bonded. So that you can,
Right.
but the others,
Yes, so
Yeah,
it's
we didn't
it's
change
the
anything
same
else.
as it was. Yeah, it's not
and
a
when I
change.
just looked, when I looked at the Mass Library Trustees Handbook, I cannot find, it's probably, I'm looking quickly, but in terms of membership, how long should a trustee serve? It says no trustee should serve on the board indefinitely, no matter how dedicated and no matter how effective the trustee is. Continuity of service provides the wisdom of experience, but change provides the essential infusion of new ideas. Both are needed. It is a responsibility of board members to recruit and encourage qualified potential trustees. So my feeling is we're elected. If we keep the 9, which I think, I know people say, well, it's a lot of people, but by keeping the 9 and it's an election, we do get new people coming in. It's not, everyone's been here forever. We have 2 new people this year. Bob was new the year before, and who else?
Jan,
Jan was new.
Elaine,
Yeah.
but
Elaine, yeah, but I mean, Jamie, we've
Oh,
had
yeah.
some new people coming in, and then there's been the old stalwarts that are still here. So that's one good thing, because it's by election, people decide to leave, I'm out of here, or, they're not reelected, whatever happens. So I don't know.
So we're talking about the officer position.
The officers,
Isn't there
I do,
something
yeah.
in?
I
I think
Those are
if you
2
go
different
down to the
things.
trustee section, it tells you.
What, oh, you mean, but this is, the whole thing is about trustees.
It is, yeah.
Becoming a
It was something
trustee, who we're,
for the
effective
days when you could
board,
get a hard copy of that.
it just explains public libraries, blah, blah. Becoming a
know.
trustee. This is
Sounds,
just.
well, I know in our bylaws, the only change that we've made in this new proposal is the treasurer.
Right.
But you have
Other
other
than-
changes, that words
Oh,
you
yes,
want to
but
take out. Yeah.
No, just that change as to the officers, I think is what we're saying, and also the chair, some duties of officers, but this
Right,
part we
I-
didn't change. Yeah,
I understand. I'm just saying, no matter whether you have 3 changes, 1 change, or 10,
Right.
this has to go before town meeting.
Right.
Oh,
right.
definitely.
So
Why we're asking you.
I guess
just to
what
make
my
it-
recommendation would be is that whatever changes we are contemplating, we run by the Mass Board of Library Commissioners in their office for trustee relations, just to get their opinion on
Well, that's a
whether.
good idea. That's a
you
great
know,
idea.
We have time
whether-
for that.
Whether we make all the changes we should, because they would probably be able to analyze it, as from a different level and a different vantage point. And I just think that might help us in making these decisions, is just to get another
Right,
opinion.
right.
It's a
Because
free
we've had some
opinion.
boards in town who have had the same chairs for years until they're forced to get off, so.
Right,
So maybe what we should be thinking here then is, when we have our meeting in November, we'll vote on the changes. And then after we voted on the changes, assuming that they are approved, then we forward it to the state. Does that make sense to everybody?
yeah.
the
Yeah,
state?
to the trustee, the trustee
and the,
liaison at the Board of Library.
Yeah.
Commission.
Right.
Just for a review, I know we did that with
Yeah.
our policies and procedures. It was really helpful because there were things that none of us thought of that they pointed out.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's just,
we
I
can do
don't
that,
want to have,
sure.
I just don't want to have to go before town meeting multiple times. If there's
Right.
other changes that we should make at the same time, that's all.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, and that
So-
does.
Yeah.
So that would work out time-wise. So if we sent this to the authority we want to send it to after our meeting in November, then that would give us time, once that, if we needed to make some tweaks, we could do that at our December meeting.
Mhm.
And then in
Right.
January, by January, we'd be able to put it up, do all the paperwork we need to put it in town meeting.
Right,
For a
right.
warrant, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we could even ask, what their experience has been with what a term might be, to make this
Yep.
less confusing.
Right.
Yeah, that's what, that's what I was gonna ask again. Is that where we are? That a term is designated as 1 fiscal year and you can't serve more than 2 terms, which means 2 fiscal years.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
As a, yeah, see, it
Except for-
doesn't.
As an officer.
As
As
an officer.
As an
Yeah.
officer.
Yeah.
I don't see anything here about officers.
Yeah,
I think if you keep
I
going
think we
down,
should-
there's a big section in that, and if you keep going
In the right place.
down, it does come to it.
Second
Oh,
page.
okay, page 19. Okay.
Much easier
No, I'm
with the
talking
hard
about the
copy.
Mass
because-
Board. Mass Board of, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Duties and responsibilities. Sorry. 16, 17, 18, 19. Yeah, here we go. Oh, this is about the bylaws, what they have to include.
And we went by that when we did it, yeah.
These are the, okay, all boards. These are sample position descriptions. Rotate leadership responsibilities to create a stronger board. These are tips. But it doesn't say like how old, how long.
If you keep going down, it does someplace in that.
Well, that in and of itself, if you can only
Right.
serve 2 fiscal years, that in and of itself would make rotation would be necessary.
Right.
I mean,
And I think the plan
mean,
for
it
that
doesn't
through the
speak
Mass
to
Board
us.
of Library Commission,
Yeah.
oh, I'm sorry.
it doesn't speak
Go
to
ahead,
it.
Mary Lou.
It doesn't speak to it specifically, but I mean, it's gonna have that effect if that's how we
Right.
go with it, yeah.
But
And the
we're
basis
looking for,
behind that, and one of their write-ups was that to make a strong board so that everybody has to take a position at some point.
Yeah,
yeah, what we're looking for is just see if there's anything in there about limits. I mean, they recommend rotating, but we're wondering if there is,
I don't see any.
and Laura doesn't say anything about specific limits.
I mean, I'm just.
But
Well, we
could-
can call and find out.
Yeah, when we forward the recommendations, we can put that in there as a question.
mhm.
Yeah,
I mean, I think the reason that we originally, when the bylaws were made, was that, I know when I first joined the board, it rotated.
right.
And then if they couldn't find anyone that wanted to be chairperson, whatever, they'd ask the present chairperson, do you want to continue?
Right,
And then COVID happened and we just kind of like,
Yeah.
everyone stay the same.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And I know I've been secretary forever. And I don't mind doing it, but if it's kind of like,
It'd be nice if somebody else did.
But if we have that as a rule, then we really have to abide by it.
Right,
You know,
yeah.
except for the,
Yeah.
That's,
except for the
that's, I
treasurer.
mean, that's what kind of prompted our looking at the bylaws in the first place.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Right.
if you want to add something like, unless no one else wants to do it or something like that, I don't know.
I think it needs to be. I think it needs to be mandatory in order to give it any teeth.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's two years, okay. Duties. All right, so to move on.
Hey, I
What
have-
is that? I mean,
The-
because there's nothing in the Mass Board of Libraries handbook or trustees handbook that I can see that says recommend, they just say, make sure you rotate,
Yeah.
and, rotate on and off and that kind
Well,
of thing.
Yeah.
That language would have that effect, I believe, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Um,
now, down under secretary, I do believe the first two things are repeats. I don't know which one you'd keep and which one you take out, but they say exactly the same thing. Post all
Oh,
minutes is
okay,
required.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so the star was supposed to go so that the secretary, it says here, post all minutes is required. It does say the same thing, but the star meant, right now, the way it's been happening is, let me see. The chairperson has been preparing, distributing the agenda. Oh, that's the agenda. Wait, where's the
Yeah.
meetings? Post all meetings as required by law. And then down secretary, we had post all minutes as required by law.
Yeah,
So it's like, instead, we're taking it out of that and bringing it down to secretary. So that's this, it should have had a little star next to that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we can
Okay,
just take
but
the
one of them got to come out of there when we
Right,
submit it.
exactly.
'cause
The
it
star
reads-
was, this is where
yeah.
it's going. We're not
Yeah, yeah.
forgetting about it. We're just
Okay,
taking it
All right.
kind of away from the chair and because
Yeah.
we had it down this way and then it was up there too. It was in two different
Yeah.
places. So who's gonna do it? And, once the meetings, the agenda, and I understand, like, the agenda should be prepared by the chairperson. We send you the stuff and then when you're ready with it, I'll get it down here or you can send it. But I mean, it was kind of, our original bylaws said like two people were doing it.
Hmm.
And then, doesn't make sense. So
Yeah.
that's why we changed that.
yeah,
And then it was like, we changed, well, the first thing, chairperson, along with the director, because she does her agenda, the things that she wants on the agenda and us, prepare, distribute the agenda to all board members, not just for all of the board meetings, because I think in the past, we used to get them when we got here.
yeah.
And we'd be reading the minutes, we'd be reading all that stuff. but it- Oh, yeah,
my
and it was like, with
Wow.
and then, oh, here, sign the warrants. Everything was going on as we're trying to read
lot of
and
things.
yeah, and so it's nice.
And the
that we're
meeting's
doing it
open.
Ahead of time,
But
yeah,
and you know why? I mean, it wasn't, I don't think there was as much, computers
as
were
much
as
business.
widespread or anything then. Now that
Right.
everybody has a computer and it makes
Right.
it so much easier to do all that kind of thing. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Um,
okay. That's all I picked up when I read it. There may be other things, but that's all I picked up and just, yeah.
Okay, anybody else have comments about the bylaws? All right, so I think we should do then is give everybody a chance to kind of read through it, and at next month's meeting, we will vote on the changes. Does that sound okay to everybody? And then we will,
Yes,
after we
and
voted
then-
on,
Yep.
after we voted on the changes, we'll send to the liaison from the state. If they have any recommendations, then we can vote, then we can talk about that in December. And then forward it for the town warrant after the first of the year. Yes?
Good plan.
Okay, good.
Sounds like a plan, yeah.
All right, great. Thank you. All right,
should-
let's see.
Should we vote on that?
I don't think there's anything to vote on, is there?
No. It's
I
just-
think
No.
it's all consensus.
Yeah,
Okay, unless you want us to vote, Bob, I'll vote if you
No,
want
thank
to.
you.
Okay.
I approve.
Okay,
yeah, yeah.
all right. Next on the agenda, I can't remember who sent me this, but about volunteer appreciation. Was that you, Kathy?
Yes, it was. We talked about it and we had a plan, and then it kind of fell aside. I still think we need to not only do a volunteer appreciation sooner rather than later, and that can be in the form of a small gift and a thank you card. And we do need to think about around Christmas staff appreciation.
Yeah.
We have staff that they work so hard. They're, according to the payroll sites of Town Hall, and our library staff is not up to par. And the disappointing thing that I'm hearing from selectmen's meetings is, yes, they do have the salary comparisons back, but they might not be able to afford to follow the recommendations, the suggestions. And I think we need to be a strong board and really do the uncomfortable things, which means really stand up for our staff. We can hear 1,000 things about how they don't have any money. Well, they find money for an awful lot of things.
Yeah.
But I think we need to stand up for our staff. And I think we are way off base as a board. Whether we have 9 people, 6 people, 3 people, no people, more people, 18 people, we need to stand up for our staff. Their
Yep.
salaries are nowhere in comparison. And we're going to lose, God forbid, the wonderful staff members
You don't
we
want-
have if we don't make a plan to do it.
So I'm not sure exactly.
There's
what you're
been so many
suggesting, Kathy.
positions added on, positions
Yeah.
added and added and added, and salaries added. And you watch these meetings and you say, I think VZ Park has added. It's unbelievable, the positions and the salaries, not the library people. And I think we've fallen way behind, and shame on us if we allow it to continue. Shame on us.
So she means do a staff appreciation, but also we need to, during budget season. maybe
Oh, okay.
look
I
at
see what you're
stuff.
saying. All right,
Yeah.
okay. All right.
Yeah, and I'm
So-
sorry, I didn't mean to mix the two things up together, but
Okay.
I am
It's
livid
easy
at
to
the
do.
fact that
I get it.
So Kathy, I grew up in the South. I'm easily confused, so.
I grew up in Salem. I'm more confused, and it's October.
Okay, all right, so, how about this, I mentioned this to Darcy once before, I don't know if she remembers. I wonder if maybe it's worth approaching the Friends of the Library and coordinating with them for some kind of, I would like to see like some kind of thing here at the library where we do an appreciation. What do you think about that?
I
You're
mean,
on great track because years ago, it was the Friends of the Library who took care of staff gifts and appreciation things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our Friends of the Library now is a small group, and they've just not so recently, but they've just started, and I'm sure including them. But I think the help of the trustees would be a great thing.
Yeah, I think, yeah, we made it clear to them, we not asking them to do this by themselves, but saying, would you like to work with us in doing this?
Exactly.
The board, yeah,
yeah,
okay. So would you be willing to approach the Friends about that?
yeah, that's
Okay,
fine.
All right.
Do
and then
I
think-
have a specific do you want to be a specific contact for them so that they can coordinate with the
They can
trustees once I
contact-
talk to them?
When do they contact me then?
Okay.
Yeah.
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 I'll talk
And
to
But
them.
aren't they in a way volunteers too?
That's what I'm saying, volunteers,
But the
Yeah,
Friends of the
it's-
Library,
right, friends, well, yeah,
so
well,
we should be doing it for all the volunteers.
right,
Well,
They
We're
are
going.
yeah, we're volunteers too, when you think
Yeah.
about it.
Well, we are, but I
Yeah.
mean,
No,
I mean, the people who,
I'm thinking, yeah, I think it should be an appreciation of the staff and appreciation of the people who volunteer to help the library succeed. Yeah, and I would like, I mean, I would not be adverse to even like a little party or something, including including gifts, but some kind of gifts of appreciation, but also maybe a little party as well. I
we
think
have
that
to
would
be careful, we have to be careful about that with COVID.
Oh,
I mean, we
okay.
can't have a lot of people
Mary
indoors.
Lou, you don't have to come to the party if it
Well,
bothers
it's
you.
not just me, I mean, it's other people too, and we're talking about in the inside, I mean, if we're gonna, maybe we should be thinking about doing it when the weather's better, doing it outside.
Well,
But
that-
how
I mean,
about
was
even
our
a small
original
gift
plan.
and a note of appreciation?
yeah,
Yeah, well,
And we
I think
can
that's
plan
for sure.
something when we're outside in the spring, but let's
Yeah.
not put it off till the spring.
Can do
Right, I
two
mean,
things.
Yes, right,
Something
done
for the
everything this
winter
year.
and then something for the spring.
right,
Yeah,
okay.
right, yeah,
Yes, you hear what Darcy
Let's
said?
come up with a plan and figure out the timing later.
yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Who's Darcy and who?
what?
You and Darcy. Who is you and Darcy? I know who Darcy is, but who's you?
Who said you?
Who said you?
What do you mean?
I think Bob just said you and Darcy. Wasn't clear on who you was.
Darcy and
Or
who are going to plan this?
Yes. just
No,
me
I
and
mean, I'll work with Darcy on this.
Okay.
That's
Okay,
fine.
Okay.
Okay,
great plan. And I'll
Okay.
gladly contribute financially to it.
me too,
Yeah, me too,
Okay.
yeah.
all right,
Me too.
Yeah, and we
okay,
can
good, so,
put
Give us
something-
an idea
Um,
what you have in mind and we'll come up with the money for it.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Any other discussion on this topic? Okay, anybody have anything under other?
I just have
do.
a question
Go ahead,
for
Tina.
Darcy.
Yeah.
Darcy, do you have a date in mind to show us the Bob Guptill collection?
haven't come up with a date, but
Okay,
I will
okay.
do that first thing. Very.
I
Yeah.
have a question.
The
Just
month went
didn't
by so
want- Didn't
fast.
want too
It
much
did.
time to go
It did.
by because,
Yes, you're completely right about that.
We don't want too much time to go by, and also we need to formulate a letter to his sons in Thanksgiving for Robert Guptill's many contributions to the library. I know this was done through a will or a trust, but we need to absolutely acknowledge this, and also to Bill Newell, and keep him completely in the loop when you introduce the collection to the library. I think he should be included, and with any meetings concerning that collection, he should be included. He seemed to be very happy about being asked to have part in it and perhaps be part of showing it, even scheduling times when people could see it. So I would want to keep him completely in the loop.
Yeah.
So,
And
I
I
have
think
Jeff's contact info, so that's.
I
Yeah,
would
Bob?
recommend a mini celebration of that effect, open to the public. And
Excellent.
we mentioned a number of times, town presenting our issues to town. Here's something that you can present to them, and we'll get
Exactly.
on their page.
And a no-touch visit, staff can show it and explain it, and Bill Newell would be the person that would be there to explain it, and that would be wonderful.
okay. All right,
Sounds good.
so, so I would ask Laurel then to send a thank you.
You have the addresses?
And if anybody
I have- I
has
have his
something,
email and phone number. I'll get his address. I can get it from Bill.
Do we have
If
both
it-
both his sons' addresses?
I have Jeff's
Yeah.
email and phone number. I don't have
Good.
the actual address, but I can get I can get it.
Excellent.
So
And
I
I'm
would
sure
ask
Bill
if-
Newell does have it, yeah.
I would ask if anybody on the board has anything that they would like to make sure is included in the card to let Laurel know, in the next few days.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay,
all right, good. All right,
Sure.
thank you, Jan. Anything else under other?
I have one thing under other. I don't know how many members of this board are familiar with the First Amendment auditors and
Oh.
their visit to Town Hall yesterday. It's available to view on YouTube.
It wasn't yesterday.
Yeah, it was a while
The
ago.
day
It was a
before
while ago.
yesterday. The day before yesterday?
No,
It
it was a
was
while
maybe
ago.
last week.
It was last week sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it
but
last
they-
week? Okay.
But it really exploded in terms of their YouTube video has maybe 28,000 views.
Yeah, well, that's because of the heading. I think it's a learning curve. Anyone, without giving an ID, can go into any town hall building or office and view what's going on. And this was a big learning curve for me. And I watched them when they went to Palmer, Massachusetts. I watched a couple of others. A couple of them, they turned really ugly. But the one at Groveland didn't, and I thank Rebecca for that. Unfortunately, the idea that people don't realize that if you're on a board, whether you're appointed or elected, you are an employee of the town, even though there's no salary, no kind of compensation at all. You are an employee of the town. They have made visits to libraries. Thankfully, they have not made visits to ours, but I think it's imperative that I know Darcy has already spoken to the staff. I would like her to please also explain it to the volunteers that
That's the plan.
they are employees of the town. We don't have secrets. We don't have hidden things. We don't have hidden meetings unless it's an executive session, and it has to be posted exactly. It was just, when I watched it, I was astounded. But yeah, they can come into any meeting. They can ask any questions. They don't have to identify themselves. The police are well aware of it. I just want to make sure that every employee, from page to director to every volunteer to every board member, knows that they are employees of the town.
They can record on
That's
their
my part.
phones. They can
Excuse me?
record on their phones. I'm
Yeah, they
saying
can record. They can
they can
record it
come
all.
in with their phones. and
Are there
record
2
it.
phones? Or there 3 phones?
Yes, exactly. And
So-
that's
Yep.
perfectly legal.
So I'm kind of vaguely aware of this. Where did you see this on YouTube, Kathy?
I got a call and an email yesterday that this was happening, and I went on YouTube and I watched the whole thing. It was about 30 minutes, and it was,
Well, what did you look up?
unfortunately, there were some comments that are going to come back to bite the poor soul who made the comments. But you need to watch it. You need to, answers are yes, and yes, we are employees of the town, and yes, you're welcome to our meeting, and yes.
What's the subject again? First Amendment?
It's under I don't know how official this group is, but the term is First Amendment auditors. They don't seem to have, they're citizens of the United States, and that they don't have to identify themselves. They don't have to show an ID. They can walk into any town building and take part in anything that's going on.
Well, basically, anybody can walk into any town.
Well, Jan, have you watched it?
Yeah,
That's
Have
what
you
they're
watched it,
trying
Jan?
to. Yes, but I mean, anybody can walk into any town building at any time,
Exactly,
just-
but
not just the auditors. Right?
exactly. Well,
No,
I
I
think
think
this
that-
is the point they're making. Yes,
Exactly, yeah, that's the point they're making, is that,
right.
when they walked in, they met with quite a bit of resistance, so.
What's to keep someone from Russia from walking into a town meeting?
Exactly. That's what I mean. And we don't have an argument about that. We don't have, as Jan said, anybody can walk in. But in this day and age, to have people walk in without identifying yourself and holding a
Yeah.
camera up to your face, it's a scary thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay,
Unfortunately, there was
that's-
an interview process taking place for the Council on Aging, and one of the members made some comments that were not good, and that's going to come back. And so I'm just trying to make everybody aware of it. Just be aware. Just be
Thus,
aware that
every
that
meeting
happens
has
at
to-
any time.
Right,
And
right. No,
every
I think
meeting has to be
that's good you brought that up.
okay.
Posted and available. to
Thank
the
you,
public.
Kathy. Any-
Yes,
Anybody
thank
else?
What
you.
have
did you say,
anything?
Jan? I didn't hear what you said, Jan.
No, I said thank you for
Yeah.
bringing that up because
I would
think
be very
everybody-
intimidated. I really would be
No, but-
intimidated.
I think everybody should probably watch that.
Yeah, I do too.
If you
I
have
do too.
time.
And if you have the time, let it go right on to the Palmer, Palmer, Massachusetts, when they walked into the town hall there. And it was all very pleasant, and they met with a lot of resistance. But in the very end of that meeting, they ended up filthy mouths towards the town manager. And I'm surprised that got away with it. But the police are all aware of it, apparently, because they just said, yep, you can do
They
that.
go
And
into police buildings too.
Yeah.
But I'll
didn't they
send
go to the
everybody the link.
Newburyport
so you-
Library?
They did maybe last year or the year before.
Yeah, I never knew that until yesterday.
I'll send
Okay.
everybody the link so you have it, so you're aware.
Thank you,
I
Kathy.
just want to make our board and our library aware of it.
Yep,
Yeah, thank
sure.
you, Kathy, that's good.
Okay.
Thank
Anybody else have anything under other? Okay, now from looking at the screen, I'm assuming we don't have any visitors, but if there are any visitors, does anybody have comments to make at the end? Any public comments? No? Okay, all right.
What's the date of our
it-
next meeting?
November 9th.
November 9th.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, anything else for the good of the order? All right, so I have a motion to adjourn at 7:30.
So moved.
Motion from Mary Lou,
Second.
second from Jan. Any objections? Okay, all right, thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you
See you
very much.
around, see you around the farm, see you around the farm. Okay.
Thanks. I'm gonna
Thank
stop
you.
recording.
Thank you.
Good
Okay.
night.
Bye.
Everybody have a happy Halloween.
Yeah, oh, yeah.